Hello, guys. For today's assignment, it will be historical artifact communication analysis, and for my artifact is going to be a letter. Letters are usually on paper, and they could be handwritten, and they could tell different types of information. They can tell information that is needed for a large group or just from one person to another or whatever the case may be. Now, before letters was invented, there was hand gestures and maybe like smoke signals that would alert people from farther distances, because back then they didn't have anything that could transfer information over far distances but stuff like smoke signals and maybe like drums and even cave paintings. But the first letter was probably on papyrus, and it was written by Persian Queen Atossa. That was in about 500 BC, so that was pretty long time ago. And yeah, I mean, letters nowadays aren't as common, but they definitely can be useful. Um, they can be very meaningful, and it's just pretty crazy how far we have come in today's communication, all the way dating back from letters into now, like on social media. And letters was used a lot back before all of like cell phones came out and different forms of communication like telephones and stuff like that, because there's really no other form of communication for long distances than letters. Because if you wrote a letter, you could have it transported, probably back then by horseback, or even just walking to somewhere and dropping it off, or whatever the situation may be. But one of the things I would like to hit on is the Roman postal system. It was carried by horseback, and back in the Roman Empire days, and that is really, they used that a lot to tell about like stuff that was incoming, maybe like for the higher up people, like to warn them about things maybe, or even just any important information that needed to be like heard or known about. And letters was meant to send information, and I mean, you could greet people too on them if need be, whichever way you wanted to use them. And one story I would like to share that I recently read about was the lost love letter of the Civil War soldier. A young soldier stationed on the front lines during the Civil War pens a heartfelt letter to his sweetheart back home. He pours out his love and anxieties about the war, but due to battle and things like that, the letter gets lost during the time of transit. It's found in the attic years later, decades later actually, and it reveals a story of love and loss that never intended to reach its recipient. Now, that is a pretty sad story, but that just goes to show the impact that letters can have, because I couldn't imagine, like, back in those times, not being able to communicate with people because there wasn't something out there for the time to be able to communicate with people. I mean, you had to have something that you could write or something like that, because it was a very important invention and thing for communication. You come a long way from smoke signals and cave paintings, and then you kind of kick things off in the communication world with a letter. And I think that is really cool. And I think the letter is one thing that really started long term or long distance communication. And I think it is a very key point to hit on in communication. And it's something that basically kicked it off and started it.